Hello everyone, Criticorn here. Today I'm going to be talking about the Star Citizen repairing career. This is a very interesting career, and I use the word interesting because when I first looked at the webpage, I went eek and just went off and did something else because I felt way too stupid to understand how the repair mechanics would work. It's almost like a chemistry class. But I was able to crack the secret enigma of the repairing career and break it down into this video for you guys who maybe were intimidated like me, and explain the general gist of how the repair career will work and function. I'll be breaking down how the repair mechanic itself is going to be working, along with the resources you'll need to attain, their strengths and weaknesses, and how to be able to read the charts and know where each resource will perform and function to its fullest strength. I'll also be talking a little bit about the salvaging aspect of the repair career as well, which is very interesting and exciting and something I'd definitely like to pursue. I also do want to mention that even though we're going to be talking about the only ship that can repair ships in space right now, the Crucible, which is also $350 and very expensive, you can earn this ship in-game within a 1 to 2 month period. From what the developers have said it would take to earn a smaller ship in-game, that's my best guess and estimation. Of course, that's always subject to change, along with my usual disclaimer that this info might already be known to vets. Now, even though players can exit their spacecraft and do a limited amount of repairs with the tiny multi-tool that they have on board, there's always going to be a high demand for repair ships. There's going to be the science ships that get fried by the radiation they're trying to collect, the mining ships that keep crashing into asteroids or dealing with the exploding ones, to the transport ships that have to deal with the pirate attacks and repair their engines in a hurry, and of course all the combat vessels that will be taking lots of heavy hull damage. And while all these ships come in different sizes and shapes, for this next part I'm going to be talking about the single-seated ships that can be accommodated on the Crucible's landing pad module. Now, I'm sure a lot of you players are curious if you can solo repair by yourself, and you totally can. The developers gave a very good example by saying that a damaged Hornet landing on a Crucible being repaired by one player would take about 15 minutes. If that player wanted to fill the position with one other crew member, it would only take 2 to 3. What's really important about this ratio, regardless of the actual time it would take, is that it's going to be 5 to 6 times faster to repair just by having an extra crew member on your deck. So it's certainly worth the investment to hire an NPC or another friend and have them help you out. The two positions that need to be filled when repairing a ship are going to be the Repair Task Manager and the Repair Arm Operator. The Task Manager will be collecting info to send to the Arm Operator to perform a successful repair. Using the Damage Assessment interface, you can see the different variants throughout the entire ship that the Task Manager will be looking at. Red indicating total damage, while green indicating no damage. It's also worth noting that the interior of the hull, holding the weapon system's electronics and engines, also take damage as well. And while the Crucible can't actually fabricate any of those total damage parts, it can fabricate the frame of the ship itself. All this data will be collected and then sent to the Arm Operator, who can then use the info to make accurate patching or fabrications to the ship. The next step for the Task Manager is going to be using the Material panel, which will then determine the quality and level of the patching on the ship itself. Through mining, scavenging, and trading, it's going to be very critical and important on your part how you attain the resources. Players who are willing to make the initial investment with a mining ship and have the dedicated time to go collect all those resources will certainly stand to make a large profit, as those resources didn't cost them anything. Scavenging is also going to be a big role for the Crucible, and I'll cover that later in the video, but of course if you don't have the dedicated time, trading is certainly going to be the quickest and efficient way in order to get those resources. And just to theorycraft a little bit on the trading aspect with the Crucible, you could fly into an asteroid field and trade labor for resources with all the mining ships that are getting damaged with the asteroids. They'd be more than happy to have repairs and share some of their resources with you, while you also build your reputation and build your resource inventory. Now, this next part's really easy to understand and less intimidating once I break it down for you and use some little visual aids. All of the resources you've gathered can perform and act in different areas, but they all have strengths and weaknesses when it comes to the 3 different kinds of compound agents. You have your base compound agent, your thermal insulant agent, and your conductive agent. The base compound is really simple to understand, and simply put, it determines the quality of the repair itself. Using lower grade resources in this area means that the quality of the repair is definitely going to suffer and the integrity won't be as strong as using a higher grade material that performs really well. It also consumes less resources when you use a higher grade versus a low grade. The thermal insulant will determine how long the repair arm operator has to hit that exact peak and moment when the repair quality is at 100%. Too little or too late can overheat or underwhelm the strength of the hull integrity. If you use lower quality grade resources, the thermal insulant will only give the repair arm operator a few seconds to act quickly. Of course, a higher grade quality resource might give them 5 or 6 seconds, thus increasing the chances of a high quality repair. And finally, the last agent will be the conductive agent, which simply decreases the time it takes to reach the peak, thus saving resources. Of course, the same principle like the other two apply to this as well. Lower grade resources means that you're going to have to put more resources in to simply reach that peak moment. Of course, the higher grade resources means that you'll have to spend less and reach that peak sooner. Once I finally understood all these principles, I was able to look at the grading system with all the different resources, and it was actually really fun once I understood how it worked. If we look at titanium, for example, it has a base compound rating of A, meaning the highest quality. It even has a very decent rating to be a conductive agent, which is B. It's going to be really cool and unique to see how players mix and match all the different elements together, tailoring the different kind of repair quality they'd like to perform. And one of the final jobs that a task manager is going to have to undertake is repairing the framing of the ship itself. Should a wing be missing, the task manager then must access the ship's database and find the appropriate wing and how much it's going to cost to repair, put all the appropriate resources together, and let it be built automatically. Once all of this info is finally collected, it's then sent to the repair arm operator, through different variants of stripping the ship down and clearing away any debris, to then patching it up and repairing it to its full health. When stripping away any debris or cutting an incision to make a clean patch, there's going to be lasers and guides to help the operator along the way to show where the incisions need to be made. Also, any metals collected through this process convert into a percentage of the raw materials needed to repair the ship itself. Now, when it comes to patching the ship itself, there's going to be a laser grid that helps navigate where the focal point of that laser should be pointed to complete the patching process. Patching is essentially spraying the material onto the framework, and once you hit that peak point is when the hole will be at 100%. Firing over that with the heat laser could overheat the hole and actually damage it. You would then have to restrip it and then start over again, losing resources, time, and money. Of course, repairing extremely large vessels like the Reclaimer, Orion, and even capital ships is going to have a different mechanic entwined within the repair mechanic itself. Originally, the developers had said that they wanted several crucibles to bind together to form a kind of scaffolding around the ship so they could repair it. But then they changed their mind later on and said that they were leaning more towards a drone idea, but also stressed to mention that this idea too could change. When we have more details, I'll certainly make that updated video to give you guys an exact mechanic of how that will perform and function. I also wanted to touch base on the salvaging aspect that a Crucible will be participating in. It's a very unique and one-of-a-kind style that only the Crucible can actually do. Instead of using the landing bay module, it would trade it out for the tow cable modules. This allows the Crucible to act like a tugboat, going to find single-seater fighter pilot ships and tow them back to a port where you would then fix them up. You could then sell them for money and earn your resources to repair other ships, or keep them yourself and build up your fleet. And just like the repair mechanic for the larger ships, it's still a little fuzzy at this time as to how the Crucibles will tow the larger ships, or even if they can. The developers have said, of course, they'll let us know as soon as that mechanic is implemented, but for the time being, it's only speculation and theory crafting as to what the Crucible can tow and its limitations. And that's going to sum up the repair career for now, guys. I hope that was enjoyable, and I hope it made it a lot more simpler for a lot of newer players who might not have been oh so keen on reading that webpage. It certainly can be a little overwhelming. So I'll leave a link in the description if you want to take a chance and revisit it now that you have some knowledge and you'll be able to understand the general gist of what everything is. And I just wanted to give you guys a heads up of where I'm going to be going with the next series that I'm going to start talking about. A lot of you have been requesting that I talk about ships next, so I'm going to give it a try. I hope you guys enjoy those videos. I'm getting a little nervous doing it, but you talked me into it. I'll start talking about ships and see if I can make it interesting for you guys. I also just want to mention thank you so much for all of those likes, subscriptions, and just even a comment in the comment section. It's so cool how so many of you are from different points of the globe, and we all have this common interest in this game. I really hope I get to meet a bunch of you in the game and just fly around with you and have a great time. So thank you so much, guys, for all of the support you've been giving me. I hope you have a great week, a great weekend, and I will talk to you all later.